all of these extensions have AI behind the scenes and they're watching which codes are successful. And so what we found is once we install Clean Cart, the extensions become trained that the coupons are not going to work. And so they stop offering them. So it actually also kind of solves the problem at the root, which is your codes will no longer be getting out there.
Wow, this conversation with Kathleen was really interesting and it exposed a huge pain that e-commerce store owners have that I must admit I wasn't even aware of. Kathleen Booth is the CMO at Clean.io, where she is on a mission to help e-commerce brands grow profits and make smarter marketing decisions by improving the effectiveness of their discount strategies. Discount Chrome extensions are eating up profits of store owners and affiliates, and this is something that has to be taken care of. During our conversation, Kathleen shared insights about how platforms and affiliates are exploiting discount codes, strategies to minimizing risk, and how Clean.io can help store owners in saving a lot of money. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this episode. It's kind of mind-blowing, and it's really, really important and crucial that you start taking care of your discount codes and your discount code strategy.
Welcome to the EcomXFactor podcast, where it's all about launching and scaling your business using sales funnels, automations, and smart marketing. And now, please welcome your host, the founder of EcomXFactor, Yaron Bin.
Hi, Kathleen. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great. Very excited for our call because, as I mentioned before we hopped on the call, so I have a lack of knowledge in the field that we're going to talk about. So I'm very interested and looking forward for our discussion.
Yeah, me too. This is going to be fun.
Awesome. Great. So can you tell us about a bit about your background story and what you're doing in Clean.io, which is the company that you're the VP of marketing at?
Actually, and I just became CMO. So breaking news.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have been working in marketing for a long time. I owned a digital marketing agency for about 11 years and worked with companies across a whole range of industries. I sold that in 2017 and I went in-house as a head of marketing at a variety of different companies. Many of them are VC-backed kind of software, particularly as an area that I've been focusing. And so that brought me to Clean.io, where we're building a digital engagement security platform, which basically means that we're helping companies get better control over the third-party code that executes on their websites in an effort to better protect their user experience, their brands, and their revenue.
Can you elaborate a bit about the unique sales proposition of your company?
So we were founded in 2018, and originally we had one product, which was in the advertising technology space. And really what we do there, and we still do it, and today we protect some of the world's largest online publishers, companies like CBS Interactive, the Boston Globe, and we help them prevent malicious ads from running. And those malicious ads typically would come through programmatic advertising exchanges. And so that product is very well established, very well known. And in the course of working on that product, we noticed a number of other types of third-party code that tend to execute on websites, and chief amongst those being browser extensions. And in particular, our second product focuses on coupon extensions like Honey and Capital One Shopping. But the whole premise is really that, in terms of, you asked about our unique selling proposition. I'm a marketer. As I said, I've always marketed to marketers. And the thing that really struck me is we're always told as marketers that we own our website. You might not own your Facebook page or your Twitter page or what have you, but you own your website. And we do, but there are a lot of aspects of it that we don't own or control. And that's where this third-party code problem comes into play. And some of that is code that we deliberately allow into our websites in the form of plugins and the CMS we choose to host our website on, or apps. And then other is code that we don't allow in. And that's where these browser extensions come into play. And I've had some time working in the cybersecurity world. In cyber, they call browser extensions a client-side injection. Mm-hmm. And what that just means is it's code that your website visitor is bringing with them to your website. So for those who are listening, I'm sure you've experienced this as a user. If you're anything like me, I have tons of browser extensions. As a marketer, I'm looking at them right now. It ranges from the built with extension that I use to see what kind of, technology a website was made with. I have awesome screenshot to take screen captures. I have color picker tools, the Moz bar, all kinds of extensions. And because I installed them in my browser, they have an elevated level of permission to run script on the websites that I visit. I never knew this until recently. This was a big eye opener for me, and that's how they function. They're able, like the color picker extension is able to tell you the hex code of that color on that website because it runs script on that site. So in most cases, this is totally benign, but there are other cases, and our example that we're really focused on is the coupon extensions, where it's a little bit more intrusive and can actually impact your user experience and, more importantly, the revenue that you earn from your business.
Before we dive into this, can you explain a bit for people who don't know what these extensions do? For example, Honey, what does Honey do?
Absolutely. So Honey is, I'll say Honey, but really there are probably more than 10 extensions just like it. It's just that Honey is the biggest. And so they tend to be the ones who get picked on, and how this really started was coupons have been around forever, as everybody knows. Before the internet, coupons were sent in the mail to people. And that was done because the whole idea was you wanted to reach somebody sitting at home who maybe didn't realize they had a need, and they get your coupon and they say, I could save some money. Maybe I should go to that store and look around and just see what's there. And so it was used at the top of the funnel in marketing terms to get people who might not otherwise have come to your store or your place of work and get them to go and maybe make a purchase. When the internet came about, the whole notion of couponing really changed. And all of a sudden we could email people coupons. We can show them coupons on our websites. And so what used to be very much a top of the funnel thing to get people to realize they had a need has now migrated and become more of a middle and bottom of the funnel tool where we can use coupons to target people who are already on our website or who have put things in their shopping cart. And we can use it to incentivize them to take action. And so what happened from there was a lot of coupon and deal websites sprung up. Many people have heard of, for example, Retail Me Not or Coupon Cabin. And these are sites where, 5 years ago, et cetera, you could go to these websites. And if you were shopping on Target.com, you could go to these websites, put in Target.com, and it would say, here's all the coupons we have. And then you'd have to go back to Target and manually test them to see if you could get a deal. And it was great because you could save money, but it was a pain in the neck because you had to manually do all of that. And it took you off the Target website, which is a problem for Target. And so what now has happened, and this brings me to the present day, is these sites have really innovated and they've come up with these browser extensions that make it so easy. You don't even have to go to the coupon websites anymore. All you have to do when you're shopping is you put these things in your shopping cart, and all of a sudden a little box pops up in your browser and it says, hey, we've got 10 coupons. We think we could save you money. Would you like us to test them? And of course, everybody presses yes, because who doesn't want to save money? And then the browser extension takes those coupons and it automatically injects them into the promo code field at checkout. And it tests to see, first of all, if they're going to work. And then if they work, it tests to see which one will give you the biggest discount. And that one that gives the biggest discount will essentially be chosen as the winner. If it doesn't find a coupon that works, all of them have some sort of a default state where it will say, congratulations, you've already got the best deal or something along those lines. So it's made injecting coupons really, really, really easy for the shopper, but it's made it really, really hard for the e-commerce merchant to control their discount strategy, because the other side of this is the way that these coupon extensions get their coupons is in two manners. One is when people manually submit them, which some do. And two is when, if I, for example, am using a coupon extension and I go to a website and that website has, for example, emailed me a code because I'm a VIP customer, and I go to type that code in that I've legitimately been given, the coupon extension will scrape it then and share it with everybody else. So that's where the problem really comes in. Is it's one thing when they are sharing widely available codes, things that you're posting on your site, et cetera. It's entirely another when they start to scrape and share codes that you as a retailer only intended for a very small audience. And like you've built that into your margin for just a small audience. And now all of a sudden the whole world has access to them. So there are a whole host of problems associated with that, but I'll stop and see if you have any questions.
Well, I'm kind of shocked and I feel naive because it's such a genius idea for them to scrape the discounts, but I didn't think about it. But it's obviously a huge pain point for e-commerce retailers. So before you elaborate about the solution, can you share some data?
Yeah, sure. So first, I'll just start with the different ways that it impacts retailers, because I already talked about one, which is if you have a limited use code. For example, if you have a code on your website that says, get 10% off for subscribing to our email newsletter, all of a sudden the coupon extension will get that code. And you have a couple problems. One is that now everybody's getting 10% off, whether they've subscribed or not. And so if you were thinking, oh, some small percentage of people will get this deal and I can afford to give it to them because I'm getting something in exchange, the math behind that is now ruined. Mm-hmm. The other problem associated with that is that from a marketing attribution standpoint, it means you really can't trust codes to tell you how your marketing is working, because you can't trust that everybody that redeems a purchase using that 10% newsletter code is actually somebody who subscribed to your newsletter. Just like if you are doing podcast advertising and you say a code, like if I came on here and I said, use the code CLEAN10 to get a discount, I would not be able to trust that the people that use that code came through the podcast. And so that removes a really important tool from our arsenal as marketers, because the data becomes unreliable. Where it gets really dangerous is if you're doing affiliate marketing. And if you're paying your affiliates on a portion of the sales they drive, and if you're using codes to track that. And we've had some customers who come to us with this issue, and I'll get into this later. We have a product that blocks these coupon extensions from doing what they do. And one of our customers was still having to pay affiliate fees. And they were asking, well, how is this possible? Well, it's possible in a couple of ways. Number one, when the coupon extensions scrape and share affiliate codes, first of all, it means you can't trust that those sales came from your affiliate. So if you're paying your affiliate based on code redemption, you might be dramatically overpaying them. The second problem, though, is that a lot of these extensions drop first-party cookies when they're present in the browser. And so even if they're present, but let's say there's no coupon that works, so they didn't, contribute to this person's incentive to purchase, they're still claiming credit for the sale. So the coupon extensions themselves are affiliates, and many companies choose to partner with them. And if they're doing that, they're paying Honey a commission or Capital One Shopping a commission. And that's another problem, which is that when they drop that first party cookie, it overwrites all of your other source data. And during that session, if that person purchases, it's going to be attributed to them. And during subsequent sessions, because it is a perpetual cookie, their future purchases will be attributed back to that coupon extension, even if they came through your Facebook ad or your email campaign or some other campaign you had. It's very complex. That's the full scope of the problem. To your question around data, the question that people always come to us with is, so I think coupon extensions are good for business. Like, don't they drive new customers? Aren't they helping reduce cart abandonment? And those are really legitimate questions. And so we set about to A/B test what would happen if we blocked these coupon extensions from auto-injecting codes at checkout. And what we learned is that when you block them, your average order value on those orders where people are using extensions, when you block the extension, the average order value goes up generally between 4 and 10%. The cart abandonment is effectively not changed. So in all of the tests we did, the cart abandonment varied by about 1% in either direction, meaning when you blocked coupon injections, sometimes cart abandonment got worse by 1%, sometimes it got better by 1%, but it usually stayed within that little band. No promises, of course. Every retailer is different. Every vertical is different. But the overall story that we saw from our data is that if you stand to make between 4 and 10% more in margin on those sales and your abandonment is effectively not impacted, it becomes really a no-brainer to block them.
Can you share a bit about what the affiliates, are they leveraging this? I mean, Honey obviously are doing this stuff like the big guys, and are the small affiliates also using any methods in order to hijack the attribution?
This is such an interesting topic. when you really start to think about it, it gets kind of scary. So there's a couple of ways this can get out of control. One is that if you are working with affiliates, there are some affiliates who, if they want to game the system, can actually manually submit their code to a coupon extension. And then all of a sudden, they don't have to drive sales through their own social media posts or their own email campaigns. They can just submit their code and then the whole world has it. And they're effectively earning money off of something that they didn't work for. I think that's a very small slice of the affiliate world, but it is something you need to watch out for. And so my advice is, if you're using codes with affiliates, you really need to watch your redemption data. And what I mean by that is, if you see all of a sudden a spike in redemptions of a particular affiliate code, go and look and see what that affiliate has been doing. And if they haven't had an Instagram post or an email campaign, or if they haven't done something that correlates time-wise with that spike in redemptions, odds are it's that code has either deliberately been leaked to the extension, or in many cases, the extension got it some other way, right? It's not always necessarily their fault, but there is a way that they can game the system. That's one of the problems. I mean, the other problem is that sometimes affiliates get hurt by this, because let's say I'm an affiliate and I have a really loyal fan base, and you give me a 15% off code that I share with my followers. One of my followers goes to your site, they type in that 15% off code. If Honey or one of the other extensions has a valid code that's worth more, it's actually going to overwrite my code, even though I sent them to your website, and it's going to replace it with somebody else's code. So these extensions can hurt affiliates too. It's a two-way street. And then, as I mentioned, the extensions themselves are affiliates. And so a lot of times what we've heard from retailers is that when they notice they have a coupon extension problem, they will approach the extensions themselves and say, hey, you have some codes of mine that are not intended to be broadly shared. I'd like them to be taken down. And unfortunately, in most cases, they don't really get any satisfaction from that. And the extensions will say something like, oh, if you'd like to have more granular control over the codes that we share, join our affiliate partnership program. And then you'll have the ability to do that. So a lot of merchants kind of feel like they're held hostage, like they have to join. And the problem is, once they join, then they're going to pay a commission to the affiliate, to Honey, to Capital One Shopping, for every sale that they drive. And so that's a big point of frustration. But this cookieing that the coupon extensions do, it's a huge problem, because it takes credit whether or not a coupon worked or not. Like I could go and put goods in my shopping cart. I could try to use Honey and it could try coupons, and maybe it doesn't have any valid ones. And if it doesn't have a valid coupon and I still buy that, is Honey really responsible for that sale? I don't think so.
Okay, so what does Clean Cart do? Enter Clean Cart.
Yeah. So, I mean, this has been a huge pain point for merchants. And really, until now, there hasn't been anything they could do about it. And what we've heard is people spend hours per week going to all the different coupon sites and trying to figure out which ones have their coupons, and then writing them letters. And so we figured there has to be a better way. And so what we've built is a simple app that is currently available for Shopify Plus, but very, very soon will be available beyond that. And it allows you to install the app on your e-commerce store and automatically block these extensions like Capital One Shopping and Honey from auto-injecting codes at checkout. So the user experience is still the same. If I come to your website and you have Clean Cart present and I have Honey, it will still pop up. And it will actually still look as though it's attempting to inject codes, but it will just resolve to that screen that says, congratulations, you already have the best deal.
Quick favor, guys. If you enjoy these shows and have been a listener for quite some time now, we would really, really appreciate it if you could take the time to give us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever your preferred podcast app may be. Having lots of ratings and audience feedback makes our show become more visible across multiple platforms. And it also supports our mission of helping as many people as possible to become better marketers and better entrepreneurs. So if you're not driving and it wouldn't be dangerous, pause this thing right now and give us an honest review over your podcast app. And we will love you even more than we already do. Thank you for taking the time, and I hope you enjoyed the show.
So it eliminates the possibility that the extension will swoop in at the last minute and basically reduce average order value while not interrupting user experience. And the real benefit is that, all of these extensions have AI behind the scenes and they're watching which codes are successful. And so what we found is once we install Clean Cart, the extensions become trained that the coupons are not going to work. And so they stop offering them. So it actually also kind of solves the problem at the root, which is your codes will no longer be getting out there.
Nice. And did you run any A/B test in regards to this? Because I'm wondering if the fact that people see that they allegedly got the best offer might spike the conversion. So having a Clean Cart running on the back end and Honey showing that this is the best deal in opposing to not having none of them and seeing if the conversion has improved. Did you test this or?
Yeah, so we did. And I mean, like I said, once somebody puts products in their cart, having Clean Cart present, effectively, that's where I was saying it's got this like 1% variation. It really doesn't have a negative effect. I mean, every now and then we see somebody where there's like maybe 1% more abandonment, but in some cases we've seen 1% less. And though people have asked me, why do you think that is? Like logically, why do you think people either would be equally as likely to convert or perhaps more likely to convert when they don't get a coupon? Because it seems to fly in the face of logic. And the way I've explained this is I really think it's a psychology thing. My father was in real estate and he always taught me when I went to buy a house, not to picture my furniture in the house, because once you do that, you become emotionally invested and it makes it harder for you to walk away. And so I think that the same phenomenon really applies with e-commerce. Once somebody puts products in a shopping cart, they have taken a step to become somewhat emotionally invested in getting those products, right? Like they're picturing, it's the equivalent of picturing the furniture in the house. They're picturing themselves with those products. And so when they don't find a successful coupon, they weren't putting all those products in the cart in the first place only because they thought they could get a deal. The deal is a nice to have, in most cases, not a must have. And so because they're invested, because they've already put them in there, in most cases, customers are going to complete that purchase.
I love what your dad said. And I know that a lot of real estate agents, that this is what they do. In Israel, it's not so common, but I know that in the US, whenever you go to purchase a house, it's fully furnished, I guess.
Right. They stage it. They actually bring in furniture that is rented to make you picture your furniture in the house because they know how effective it is. And it really works. A well-staged house definitely sells better than one that's empty.
And I wanted to ask you in regards to Clean Cart. So does the fact that you use Clean Cart, does it affect the page loading speed or anything like this?
No, it's a very lightweight script and we have seen no impact on latency or site speed.
Interesting. And so this solves the issue with Honey and these extensions, but do you have any solutions that for any other discounts that are like, let's say in the website, if someone is looking for discount codes, so how can retailers approach this issue?
We are in the process and very close to announcing that we are able to block some of the other extensions. Now, Honey and Capital One Shopping account for, I think it's like 87% of all coupon extension usage. So that's why we've really focused on those. But we are close to being able to block some of the other ones that people use. We don't prevent people from manually typing in coupon codes because we do really believe that the ability to offer discounts and coupons is important for e-commerce retailers. So to be very clear, we're not anti-coupon at all. In fact, I think that having Clean Cart is actually good for shoppers because a lot of the retailers we've spoken to have said they've stopped issuing coupon codes until they got Clean Cart because they didn't feel they could do it in a way that they would have the control they needed. And so for people who are price conscious shoppers, I actually think that our product is a good thing because it frees retailers up to give codes out to the people who are, loyal customers. And it all comes back to, especially at a time like this in COVID, when, we don't want to see our favorite retailers disappear and only be left with Amazon.com to shop at. Or Google. It's about protecting those retailers and giving them back some control so that they are able to give their best customers discounts and to reward loyalty and things like that.
Do you have any tips or best practices that you can share about how to offer discounts? Maybe what should the coupon codes be? Are there any best practices for coupon codes? In generally speaking, any suggestion for coupon strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a term called coupon hygiene that we like to talk about, which is basically like, what do you need to be doing to build a profitable discount strategy? And first of all, it's being clear, obviously, on what the goal of your discounting is. I think, every coupon code that you issue should have a specific purpose. That's number one. Number two is truly understanding your cost to acquire a new customer. And this is a little bit of a murky area. I think as marketers, we're taught that CAC, as it's called, is a valuable metric, customer acquisition cost. But I don't think that a lot of marketers really understand how complex it can be, because sometimes we look at, for example, our overall CAC, which is generally like all of your marketing and sales costs divided by the number of new customers. That's the simplest way to think about CAC, right? So if it costs you $500 to acquire a new customer, in theory, paying a coupon extension 10% commission seems very reasonable. But where it gets more complicated is you need to think through all the micro conversions that a customer has on the way to purchasing. And so in 99 out of 100 cases, it's not that somebody's coming to your site from a coupon extension and then making a purchase. It's that they've seen your Facebook ad, they've gotten your email campaign, they've gone to your site, they've maybe seen you on Instagram, and then they put the things in your cart. They look at 4 product pages, they put things in your cart. And then at the very, very, very last moment, the coupon extension pops up. And so understanding like what role these extensions play in the broader customer journey is very important, and factoring in all those costs. Because if your CAC is $500 and you've already spent $50 on Facebook ads and $75 on Instagram ads, and you have all these other upfront costs, and then the coupon extension comes in at the very end and reduces your average order value by, let's say, 10% if it's a 10% coupon, plus you're paying 10% commission to them, all of a sudden the math doesn't really work, because you have to factor in all of the costs that help that customer get you there. So that's one other thing. Then I would say there's some behind the scenes things that you need to think about. One of which, and this is very common, is just keeping track of the codes that you create. So a lot of the retailers we talk to use multiple different platforms to create coupon codes, and they may even have multiple different people involved in creating them. So what I mean by that, for example, some codes might get created through your Shopify instance. You then might use a program like Cleanio to create other codes. And then maybe you have an SMS app that you're using that creates other codes. All of a sudden, you have codes coming from 3 places. What we've learned when people start using CleanCart, because we provide data on the back end on code redemption, people will look at it and say, I had no idea that code even existed. So my recommendation is you can solve this very simply. Create, a Google spreadsheet or something like that, where you keep track of all the codes you're creating across all the platforms that you're using to create them. Make sure that you indicate the date that they were created, and then have certain intervals at which you check your data and look at the frequency of redemption, so that you're keeping a really close eye on it and watching for those red flags that I described earlier, the spike in redemption data, so that you can pretty quickly catch if a coupon extension gets your code. And if that happens, you have a bunch of options for what to do with it. You can either reach out to the extension and try and fight that battle yourself and get them to take it down. You may or may not be successful. The other option is to just deprecate the code, meaning cancel it out, make it invalid. That works. It can be a pain in the neck then, especially if you're working with affiliates or other parties, because then you have to issue them a new code. Of course, you can look into a software solution like we have. There's a number of different ways to deal with it, but you've got to watch your data really closely. And then I guess lastly, I would say is think about the different types of codes you have available to you. So if you're doing email campaigns or SMS campaigns, you can use single-use codes. So a platform like a Cleanio allows you to generate, and some of the SMS apps will allow you to generate single-use codes. They can only be redeemed once. So even if they leak to a coupon extension, it's no big deal because it's not going to affect you. But there are other use cases, like I described earlier, like podcast advertisement or an affiliate relationship, where you can't do that. And so that's where use your general codes for things like that, but otherwise use single-use codes.
Wow, this is so valuable input. Thank you so much for sharing them, because for me in our e-commerce stores, the coupon codes are in a complete mess, I must be honest. And it's very easy to overlook them because you say, okay, it's going to improve the conversion. It's not going to hurt the AOV. But as you said, it's probably out of it's a blind spot, and I'm probably losing a lot of money.
You're not alone. I think from the people we've talked to, this is a very common problem. So,
and this is awesome. Thank you for sharing this. And I wanted to ask, does this become relevant from a certain sales revenue? I mean, is this a problem for only big players or also small players?
No, it's big and small. Mm-hmm. And in fact, this is one of the things that really surprised me when we started really digging into it, is that I had assumed that the largest retailers would not have this problem because they have huge teams of engineers who can probably build their own software to stop it. Mm-hmm. And I've been kind of shocked at it is a problem for a lot of very big retailers. And, and part of the reason for that is these companies like Honey was purchased by PayPal for $4 billion. Capital One Shopping used to be called WikiBuy, and then Capital One bought it. And so a lot of the extensions are being bought up by very large payment processors. And as they always say, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Mm-hmm. So, they're harvesting your data if you're using these extensions, but they also have really deep pockets. And that's why big retailers still have this problem, because they're really battling not just Honey, they're battling PayPal, they're battling Capital One, and those companies are able to constantly iterate and change the product in a way so that it will continue working. So it's also a problem for really tiny retailers. Like, what I would say is the easiest way to figure out if you have this problem is actually get the extensions. Get them and put them. And I have 3 or 4 in my browser. It's so annoying, by the way. They're so annoying because now whenever I visit websites, I have 3 or 4 pop-ups that come up, which is another problem with these extensions, by the way, is they really interrupt the customer journey. But get them if you work at an e-commerce business, and then go to your own website, put some things in the cart, and you'll see right away what pops up and if it has valid codes. I mean, that's how we test when we look at the sites of the companies that we're talking to. And so it's pretty quick and easy. And you can also even just test to see what the biggest discount is. I mean, we've had a couple of real horror stories that we found with companies that there was one men's apparel brand that had a $75 off coupon, but they didn't set a minimum purchase value.
Wow.
So you could just get free stuff as much as you wanted if you continued to keep your purchase under $75. We had another brand where we discovered they were offering free shipping, but they made a mistake and somehow they applied the free to the whole purchase. So again, 100% free, anything you wanted. And those are the worst case scenarios.
For sure.
So it's really important to do, to essentially mystery shop your own website using the coupon extensions, and you'll know pretty quickly.
And these extensions are mainly in the US. Are there any big players that we should know of our target market isn't in the US? Let's say in Europe or UK or Australia?
Yeah, I mean, I think Capital One Shopping and Honey have definitely focused on the US, but I mean, they're growing everywhere. And the amount of money that they're putting into marketing and new customer acquisition is staggering. Here in the United States, I see commercials featuring famous Hollywood actors to promote Capital One Shopping. So my expectation is that while they are used currently less in Europe, in Asia, et cetera, I think it's going to increase very quickly. And there are a lot of other extensions beyond those 2 big ones that have popped up. I'm not going to even name them all because there's too many, but some of them are more popular overseas. So they have clearly shown that there's a profitable business model. And so what I would expect is to see a lot more of these coming into existence.
I have one question that came to my mind, and it kind of bring us a bit back to the discussion, but you shared like tips and best practices. And I wanted to ask you if you have any advice regarding the amount of percentages of the discount code. So if you see that like from 30%, it doesn't make any more sense, for example, or that 20% performs better, discounts of 20%, because you have probably a lot of data about discount codes. So I'm wondering.
Yeah, we see a lot of like 20% discount codes, but I've actually done a lot of research on this, and it's interesting. There's a whole field called behavioral economics that studies this, and there seems to be an indication that you can actually offer a discount as low as 5%, and it will have an impact on purchase behavior. I do think it's going to be different for every business. I don't think there's any one rule that will apply. And so I think it's important for any e-commerce marketer to test and, try offering a lower amount and then gradually increase it and see what happens. And I think you'll start to see a threshold where you have to obviously balance this with what your profit margins can tolerate. But I think testing is really important. And while you're testing, keeping a close eye to make sure that your codes haven't gotten out of control and making sure you're expiring old codes that when you're done with your tests.
Great. So I want to start wrapping things up. I wanted to ask you, CleanCart at the moment is only available for Shopify Plus stores and soon is going to launch also for Shopify stores. What is the pricing model? How does the pricing work? Can you elaborate about the different tiers?
Sure. So we actually post our pricing on our website. We try to be really transparent about it. Currently, as you said, it's available for Shopify Plus, and we have different price tiers based on the order volume that your store processes every month. So the number of orders. And right now, our lowest tier starts at $249 a month. As you say, we are looking to expand beyond Shopify Plus, not just to regular Shopify, but to other platforms like BigCommerce, Magento, Salesforce Commerce Cloud, perhaps WooCommerce. And as we do that, I expect that we will eventually have a lower price tier when we have a self-serve product. But right now, as I said, it starts at $249 a month. And generally what we see, obviously no promises, but what we tend to see is that the retailers that use it see a 7 to 10x ROI on the product. So it's definitely worth investing in. And they see that within the first 30 days. It's pretty quick.
Wow, this is amazing. And the installation, I guess, is seamless.
Very easy, very easy.
Wow, my mind is blown today. Thank you so much for sharing so much information. It's definitely a field I had no awareness of, but it's a huge pain. Is there anything I forgot to ask or anything that you'd like to mention before we say farewell?
Yeah, just that we do offer a 14-day free trial. So if you are on Shopify Plus, definitely check it out. I mean, it really can't hurt. It goes back to that notion of testing. Test it out and see what happens with your average order value, with your conversions. And then if you're not on Shopify Plus and you're interested in potentially using the product in the future, just come to our website and fill out the form on the CleanCart page, and we will add you to the wait list. So that way we can notify you when we do have it available for other platforms.
Awesome. And in regards to the trail, so is there a dashboard on the back end of CleanCart that shows you, for example, how many money was saved, or how does this work?
There is, yes. We show you on the back end how much of your revenue we've been able to recoup. We show you which of your coupon codes are being attempted and by which extensions. We show you the average amount of discount, the number of different coupons attempted. There's a lot of really rich data back there that can help inform your discount strategy.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. It sounds amazing. Amazing product that solves so many problems and very impactful. And thank you so much for sharing the insight and value.
Thanks for having me on. This has been really fun.
Awesome. Great. Bye-bye. Take care.
You too.
Hi guys, this is Yaron again. Just a few more things before you take off. Number one, if you want to learn more about e-commerce and marketing, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, which is called EcomXFactor Official. Number two, check out our Facebook group, which is called EcomXFactor Marketing and E-commerce Mastermind. This is a great place to ask questions and connect with other business owners. And last but not least, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to share it with your friends and colleagues, plus leave a review at your favorite podcast app.